after breaking down of this huge formation on a 1 hour time frame, Bitcoin bounced from the support area and this is looking very bullish. So let's see if Bitcoin can continue the bullish uptrend on this Friday. The Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs are showing interesting numbers, and we also have Trump saying that the US will make a deal with China. So this could be very bullish news in the coming hours and days. So everyone on the world is going to make deals with Trump. We also have Arizona's strategic Bitcoin reserve coming in because the final bill is passing through the committee. And we also have a lot of other news in this video. Later in the video I will also have a look at the two altcoins Ethereum and Cardano because they are showing a lot of interesting price action. So please give this video a like to support this channel. In the description under this video you can find a link to my free Telegram group and also to my Twitter channel where I post a lot of crypto updates. And with that being said, now let's dive right into the charts. On the 1 hour time frame we can see that Bitcoin is currently a little bit inside of a range, and we are seeing on the top side the huge horizontal resistance and also on the lower side we can see huge horizontal support. So yeah, Bitcoin is bouncing between those horizontal ranges, and these horizontal levels are acting a little bit too strong for now. So eventually we will either see a break to the top side or a break to the downside. And we can also see that Bitcoin is somewhat of an price compression here, and we are seeing a little bit of a price compression on the lower side. We can see multiple touch points here as support, and on the higher side we can see multiple touch points here as resistance. So eventually the price of Bitcoin is getting squeezed into this apex, so we will either see a break to the top side or a break to the downside. So this could all happen today because the apex is due for the end of this Friday. So we could either see a break to the top side, then I'm going to wait for a confirmation of the break, then I'm going to wait for a retest of the resistance to test it as support, and then we can aim for higher targets. And let's see if Bitcoin then can break the huge horizontal resistance on the top side. But of course we could also see a bearish break, and that we could see the confirmation of the bearish break. Then I'm going to wait for a retest of the support to test it as resistance, and then I'm going to enter the market for Bitcoin here in a short, and then we could aim for this lower side support. So this support needs to hold in order to remain a little bit more bullish than bearish for Bitcoin. So let's see if we can either see a breakout to the top side or the downside today. And let me know in the comments, do you think that Bitcoin is going to break bullish or that we're going to see a bearish break? And another formation on a 1 hour time frame, which I discussed earlier this week in my videos, was this rising wedge formation that broke down for Bitcoin. We are seeing a breakdown of this formation. We came all the way back to this lower side support, and this was a very interesting place to accumulate more Bitcoin, just like I've been stating. So this was a very, very interesting place to buy more Bitcoin, and especially when you are long trading, you could have made an interesting gain of more than, of almost 3%. So especially when you are leverage trading, you are in a lot of profit. So also don't forget to take a little bit of profit. So we are bouncing now from this huge support area on the lower side, and we're seeing more continuation to the top side. So let's see if Bitcoin can continue the bullish uptrend later today, because it will be the last trading day of the week. And let's see if the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs had some very interesting numbers yesterday. So first, looking at the Bitcoin ETF flow, we can see that yesterday was a very bullish day because we saw $106.9 million of inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs. And this was all because BlackRock and Fidelity were buying, and the other Bitcoin ETFs didn't buy or sell anything. So on Thursday, on Wednesday, we saw a little bit of a decline of $171 million. So eventually, in the spot total cumulative inflow, we are now seeing a little bit of a spike to the top side. So let's see if Bitcoin can continue the bullish uptrend, and eventually we want to see those $40 billion of total cumulative inflow reached again. So this of course will be very bullish for the markets. And having a quick look at the Ethereum ETF, we see that yesterday was not a bearish or a bullish day because we saw zero total inflows. But in the last week we saw a lot of red days. So let's see if the last day of the trading week can be a little bit more bullish for Ethereum. And having a quick look at the S&P 500 chart, we can see this daily chart is looking a little bit more bearish. We first came in this huge bullish uptrend, we created an all-time high, and now we are seeing a huge decline after Trump announced his tariffs. So we are seeing this bearish retest was unfolding because we broke down from the support, we retested it as resistance, and then we came lower and lower and lower. So now we are creating another bearish retest because we came below this huge support on the daily time frame, and now we are retesting it as a resistance. So we are now seeing a little bit more downside. So however, the S&P 500 I think is still also going to make a new all-time high in 2025, but we need to see a big reversal first because we are now inside of this huge bearish trend. we want to see more topside, that we're going to create a new higher high, a new higher low, and then we can see a trend reversal from a bearish trend into a bullish trend. And it all comes together with President Trump and his tariffs, and he is saying that the US will make a deal with China, and this of course could be very bullish for the markets and especially for the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 is going to pump, we will most likely see a Bitcoin pump as well. And President Trump also says that he's very confident about a new trade deal with the European Union. So he also has a trade deal with China going to make, and maybe other countries in Asia. And also the Italian Prime Minister Meloni is saying, I'm sure we will make a deal on the tariff. So this could be very bullish. And I think if the European Union and China are going to make a deal with the US, I think we will see more topside for the S&P 500 and also the Nasdaq, which will also pump crypto overall, and most likely Bitcoin. So earlier this week I also discussed this huge daily chart with you. We saw this falling wedge was occurring. We saw multiple touch points on the top side as resistance here, and also on the lower side we saw multiple touch points as support. We are now finally breaking bullish, so this is exactly what we want to see. But however, keep in mind that we could also see a little bit of a throwback to retest this previous resistance as support. And if that happens, I'm going to enter the market at this bullish retest, and then we can enter the market in a long, and then we can aim for higher targets. And of course, on the way up, we can see a lot of resistance coming in, but the breakout target to the top side will be the confluent with the higher side of this formation, which will bring Bitcoin all the way back to the previous all-time high of $109,000. So for now, we are seeing this consolidation happening on the lower time frame, but on the high time frame we can see this huge breakout of this falling wedge formation, which could be the start of a huge impulse to the top side, because we are now seeing a bearish trend was unfolding on the daily time frame, but we want to see this trend going to be a reversal trend, and that we're going to reverse from a bearish trend into a bullish uptrend. So let me know in the comments, do you think that Bitcoin is bottomed out right here and that we're going to see more topside? Or do you think that Bitcoin will even go lower than the $75,000 in the coming weeks? And some other very interesting news came in, and that was that Binance is saying that multiple governments and sovereign wealth funds have approached the company about creating crypto reserves. So this could be very interesting because a lot of governments and sovereign wealth funds could be buying Bitcoin in the coming weeks, and that of course is going to be very bullish for the crypto market overall, because a lot of money is inside of these institutions and they will buy more Bitcoin. So also interesting breaking news was came in yesterday that the Arizona Strategic Bitcoin Reserve bill passes final committee, and this will be the first state that is going to be having a Bitcoin reserve, and this is of course insanely bullish, because imagine if all the states in America are going to buy Bitcoin, this will be opening the floodgates of money into Bitcoin, and I think a lot of other countries will follow as well. And the first altcoin I want to have a look at is Ethereum, and we can see that Ethereum is looking very bad on the daily time frame. We can see this huge bearish trend with lower lows and lower highs, and eventually we want to see a huge reversal for Ethereum. We want to create a new higher high and also a new higher low. And if Ethereum is going to create a higher high and after that a higher low, you want to step into the market into this higher low, because currently we are inside of this bearish trend. So you could have also DCA in your portfolio, but buying at a reversal is the perfect strategy for me. So if we're going to create a higher high and then at the higher low, I'm going to buy at this higher low, and then you are less risk-free. So this could be a very interesting buy for Ethereum. And also on the daily time frame, we can see this huge falling wedges occurring. We can see multiple touch points here on the top side as resistance, and also on the lower side multiple touch points as support. And this price of Ethereum is getting squeezed into this apex, and we will most likely see a huge break, because we can also see that Ethereum is trying to break bullish. So if we're going to see a big reversal, then we are also breaking out of this falling wedge formation, which is a typical bullish bias reversal pattern. And I'm going to wait for confirmation of the breakout. Then I'm going to wait for a retest of the resistance to test it as support. And then we can aim for higher targets. And the top set of the formation will be confluent with the breakout target. And that will bring Ethereum all the way back to the $4,000. But of course, this is something for a longer period and for the long term. But on the lower side, we can see a lot of bearish movements, and we can see a lot of bearish price action. So let's see if Ethereum can see a big reversal soon, and that we can see some things to be turned around. And another interesting altcoin I want to have a look is Cardano. We can see that Cardano is currently bouncing from this lower side support on the daily time frame, and this daily chart is looking a little bit more bearish than bullish, of course. We can also see a huge bearish movement here with lower lows and lower highs, but however this support is now holding strong for Cardano and we see a big bounce. So let's see if Cardano can come back to these previous resistance levels, and that of course could bring Cardano back to new highs. So of course regional highs. So for now we want to see that Cardano is going to break to this next big resistance. Then we want to see more topside continuation, but of course now we are still in this huge bearish movement, and I think we will follow Bitcoin, of course, and all the altcoins are following Bitcoin. So for instance, if Bitcoin can reach the $100,000 again, I think we will also see a huge volatility into altcoins, and especially the big altcoins, just like in the top 20 of the market cap. So just like Ethereum, Cardano and Solana and all that kind of altcoins. So for now we are bouncing from this lower side support, and if we have a look at the weekly time frame, we can also see that Cardano could also still be in a big uptrend. We came from these all-time highs, then we created these bear market lows, and now we are also creating these huge horizontal levels which are acting as resistance and support. And currently we are bouncing from this support level on the weekly time frame, which is looking very bullish actually. So eventually from these bear market lows we are in this uptrend because we are seeing higher highs and higher lows. And for instance, we are possibly can see a higher low play for Cardano here, and if this happens we could then after that also create a new higher high, and that of course would be very bullish. So the first big resistance for Cardano to break is around this level, and it will be around the 75 cents. Currently we are at the 60 cents, so yeah, this could be the next make or break level for Cardano, but currently we are inside of this range between resistance on the top side and support on the lower side. So let me know in the comments, are you still bullish on Cardano, and what is your price prediction for Cardano in 2025? So again, please like the video if you think it was useful. Have a great Friday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.